What is the secret to a good life? How do we find real meaning in everything? We all ask these questions, right? Well, it turns out people were asking the exact same things 1,500 years ago. So we're going to dive into this incredible ancient Persian text called the Mēnōg Xrad, or the Spirit of Wisdom, because it offers some answers that are just as powerful today as they were back then.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into the core idea of wisdom itself, what it really is. Then, we're going to take a journey into the afterlife to see what the ultimate stakes of our actions are. And finally, we'll bring it all back down to earth with a really practical blueprint for how to live a good life.
The whole text kicks off with this massive question, and the answer it gives us really hinges on one single powerful idea that shapes everything else that follows.
And that idea is Xrad. Now, in ancient Zoroastrian belief, Xrad isn't just about being smart or knowing a lot of facts. It's way bigger than that. Think of it as the divine creative force, almost like the operating system of the cosmos. It's the ultimate tool for navigating our lives.
And this book wasn't just some dusty, abstract philosophy. It was meant to be a practical manual, what's called an Shahnameh. It was designed to pass down these essential life teachings and actually encourage people to go out and actively spread goodness in the world.
Okay, so with that foundation in place, let's see how the text really illustrates the ultimate stakes. It gives this incredibly vivid, detailed account of what happens after we die, and it's a journey that is determined entirely by the kind of life we chose to live.
The text basically presents this really clear fork in the road. In the end, your soul is judged as either righteous or wicked. And from that moment on, those two paths could not be more different. But the judgment isn't immediate. There's this sacred process. For 3 whole days, the soul stays near the body, almost like it's in a final reflection of its past life. It's only on the 4th morning that the real journey begins, heading to the Chinvat Bridge, and that is the place where everything is decided.
And here's what's so crucial. The judgment is perfectly, absolutely fair. The spiritual scale that weighs your life's deeds, it's incorruptible. In this final moment, it doesn't matter how much status, wealth, or power you had. None of it can influence the outcome.
So first, let's follow the path of the righteous soul. The text describes it as this journey of just incredible beauty and reward.
As the soul gets closer to the bridge, it's greeted by the sweet-smelling breeze and the most beautiful maiden you could possibly imagine. This is the very first taste of the reward that's to come.
And this is where it gets just brilliant. When the soul asks the maiden who she is, she reveals that she is the physical embodiment of the soul's own good actions. Your goodness literally becomes your guide.
So, guided by its own good deeds, the soul begins to ascend to paradise. It takes 3 steps, and each one represents a core belief of the Zoroastrian faith: good thoughts, good words, and good deeds.
And the final destination is this realm of pure light and joy. It's described as a reality where all of our earthly struggles, fear, aging, pain, they just cease to exist. They're replaced by this everlasting peace in the presence of the divine.
Okay, now for the chilling contrast. The text is just as vivid in describing the terrifying journey that is waiting for the wicked soul. For this soul, there is no fragrant wind. Instead, demons appear. They bind the soul and they drag it toward the Chinvat Bridge, which is now shrunk down to the width of a razor's edge.
And before it can fall, the soul is confronted by this grotesque and absolutely terrifying hag. The sight is so horrifying that the soul just recoils in disgust and fear.
And here it is again, that powerful mirror image. The hag reveals her identity. She is the personification of the soul's own evil actions. Your own wickedness becomes your personal tormentor.
Unable to cross that razor-thin bridge, the soul just plummets into the abyss, falling through 3 stages that are the dark reflection of the righteous path: bad thoughts, bad words, and bad deeds.
Punishment is a perfect, horrifying inversion of paradise. Where there was light, there is now a darkness so thick you can almost hold it. Where there was bliss, there is endless torment. And where there was divine company, there's only poison and despair.
So, with the stakes laid out that clearly, eternal bliss or eternal torment, how does the text tell us to live right now to make sure we choose the right path?
Well, to answer this, the text doesn't just give you a single, vague idea. Instead, it provides a very specific and practical breakdown of what goodness actually looks like in different parts of our lives.
And the guide it gives is incredibly practical.
It tells us that the greatest good for your soul is generosity. For making the world a better place, it's truth. For connecting with the divine, it's gratitude. And to take care of our own bodies, the greatest virtue is that foundational concept we started with, wisdom, or Xrad.
The text also gives us a clear what not to do list, basically identifying the spiritual poisons to avoid. And notice how it explains the damage each one does. Greed deceives you. Anger makes you forget all your good deeds. Lust always brings regret. And envy, well, envy just robs life of all its joy.
And this brings us right back to the central, most powerful image in the entire text. It leaves us with a question that is just as relevant today as it was 1,500 years ago. If the sum of your life's actions were to appear before you right now, would you meet a beautiful maiden or a hideous hag?